Hey guys, Mike here from Lunch Money Comics. It's really early in the morning. The sun barely came up because I'm at an estate sale. I saw this posted online. This estate sale has lots of really cool vintage things, including some golden age comics. And I've learned my lesson the hard way. When you're going to these estate sales, you got to be really early, sometimes hours early. And as a matter of fact, I'm here almost 2 hours early to be in line, and I'm the first person in line. So I think I have pretty good chances of getting in there first and getting a stab at these comic books. I just hope I can get them for a good price. Wish me luck. So not only am I the first person in line, I'm the only person in line. Like I said, I was here really early. It's pouring. About 1 more hour. 15 more minutes. Comic books right there. All right. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm grabbing these here. What do we got here? What are you grabbing? I want the Tessie right there. Let's see what we got here. Is there more than one table?
Another table, right?
Look underneath. No.
Maybe they're calling up. I don't know.
Let's see these prices here. 20, Tessie. Is that Archie? Did you grab that Archie underneath there?
Go ahead.
Let me see that. Like the crime does not pay. Felix. Wow, there's some pricey ones. Yeah, Felix a lot, huh?
The ones I love is like the ones with like typist Tessie and stuff.
Oh, they're the best. They're my favorite. Yeah.
Or they're as risque as you can get.
All right, guys, I think I did pretty darn good. Okay, guys, it definitely pays to be early. I was first in line, and it's a good thing I was because everyone wanted the comic books. But because I was the first one to the table, I was able to grab every single comic book I was interested in from the pictures I saw online. And, I can't vouch for the condition. They weren't great shape, but I think I did pretty good. I think I got some pretty awesome books at a pretty great price. I can't wait to go home and show you guys what I got. I'll see you back there in a second. So there you go, guys. I just got back a little while ago. I was pretty excited to actually show off these books. I barely got any sleep/no sleep last night. I was up really early. The adrenaline was pumping for my recent purchase. Normally I don't do this portion right away, but I was so excited and I knew I was gonna crash later. I decided to do it pretty much right away. But before I actually filmed this portion, I did a little bit of research on some of these books, and honestly, I had a hard time. I'm not a big golden age guy. I don't know that much about them. So I reached out to some friends, my good buddy Matt, a local guy and comic dealer, really fun guy, knows everything about like heritage auctions, but also two very well-known comic book YouTubers, Alex the Comic Hoarder and Alan the Comic Collector Geek. These are the two guys that know more about Golden Age books than anyone I know about. And as a matter of fact, I just got off a phone call, a video conference call with Alan all the way from Canada, where we went through every single one of these books, and I leaned heavily on his institutional knowledge on Golden Age books. It's actually amazing what he can remember. And we actually tried coming up with sort of like what we thought the value of these are, because one of the most requested things I get on my channel is to talk about what the value of these comics are, not just what I bought them for. That's often not a very important thing for me, but I understand why a lot of people are interested. And in a case like this, where I got a lot of comic books for what I thought was a pretty good price, I think it is worth mentioning what we think they're worth. So I'm gonna give you guys our best judgment on what that is. Man, I'm excited to show these off to you guys. Before I do though, if you like this sort of stuff and you wanna support the channel, head on down, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at Lunch Money Comics IG. Let me show you guys what I got at this estate sale. Oh, I have one more person I need to thank, my buddy Nick, who tipped me off for this estate sale. It was actually posted on Facebook by a local estate sale company. They sort of like run these things. And I actually follow them on Facebook, and I completely missed this one. So Nick did not miss it, and he knows I love comic books. He saw the pictures posted, so he tipped me off. Thank you so much, Nick. I absolutely owe you one. You're also the reason I didn't get any sleep last night. Because you guys saw I was there super early. I was there actually 2 hours before this thing was supposed to open. And the reason is I've learned the hard way. I've learned from experience, guys, that if an estate sale is posted online and there are lots of collectible things, there's going to be a huge line there early. And if you're not there like 2 hours early, you're not going to get the good stuff. And I've done this. I've gone like an hour early thinking I'm fine, and I did not get the comic book. So in this case, I wanted to make sure I was there first. I was there 2 hours early, and I was barely first. People filled in behind me pretty quickly, and they were also looking for comic books. So I wouldn't have got half of these had I waited any longer. So the one thing that was kind of making me nervous while I was waiting in line is I didn't know how these were going to be priced. Like I said, I've gone to these in the past and they price them all sorts of different ways. Sometimes, yeah, they're really cheap or they're like $1 each, but usually they'll put them all together like in a massive lot and it's like $1,000 for all these comic books. And you know there's only 1 or 2 good ones in there. It's not worth buying. Or even worse, sometimes they individually price them, but they just go onto eBay and they look at like the asking price. And you guys know, like, people who don't normally sell comic books don't always look at condition. And if they don't take that into consideration, the prices are all out of whack. So I had no idea what this was going to look like. So when one of the workers walked by while I was waiting, I said, hey, well, where are the comic books so I can get to them quickly and how are they priced? And the woman said they were all individually priced. So here I am going, great. You know, it's the latter case where these are going to be just way up in the stratosphere and they're going to be way too expensive. But you guys saw, I was very pleasantly surprised. They were very competitively priced, and it looks like they did take condition into consideration, which is always appreciated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the prices they had on the books. Just know that I got these as a bulk deal. That I'll tell you at the end what I paid for everything. But I'll give you the price that they were selling it for. I'll give you the price that, you know, me and Alan sort of think they're worth. And then I'll tell you the total cost at the end. Sound good? All right, let's get into it. So let's start off with the cheaper books and we'll work our way up to the really good ones you guys saw in the footage. So let's start with this. This is Crime Does Not Pay number 82 from 1949, published by Lev Gleason. And what these are true crime comic books. You see there's multiple stories in each one, and yeah, they depict real crimes that happened. Before the comic code, some of these true crime ones were pretty gnarly. They had almost like a pre-code horror kind of vibe to them. But it was more horrific because they were based on things that really happened. So I guess this is about as PG as true crime could be. You see a bunch of guys fighting on a train. Cool Charles Bureau cover. Yeah, these aren't worth a ton, but I think they were a really cool snapshot in time. And it only cost $5. You see my sticky note here with my notes on it. I don't know much about these Golden Age books, and I'm too exhausted to memorize this like I usually do. So there you go, guys. $5. I thought was pretty good. But now we're going to jump into what we call the good girl art. Most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, these covers from the 30s, 40s, 50s showing women. Predominantly, men were the collectors of these books and readers. And before the comics code, these women would be scantily clad and in promiscuous situations. After the comic code, they had to be more discreet in how they depicted women. They put more clothes on them, but they used more like innuendo and things like that, right? To kind of put them in suggestive situations. And they're very collectible. People love them. So again, these are all from the 40s, so they're not going to be too, you know, they're all PG, absolutely. Let's start with this one here. This is the Texan Comics number 3. It's from 1949, published by St. John Publishing. And yeah, this is pretty cool. You see what we're talking about with the good girl art right here. A damsel in distress, and she's being chased down by a Native American that I'm sure is absolutely culturally insensitive. And I think this is kind of a cool cross-section between, you know, that good girl art and Western comics, which have their own huge collectability and following. And I thought this was pretty cool, and I was hopeful that it was worth a lot of money, but it's not worth that much money. The reason is some of these actually are because the art was done by Matt Baker, a very famous artist from the time. But this particular one was done by Bob Lubbers, and so for that reason, you know, it's not as well sought after. So it's actually in really good shape. It's actually really good. It presents fantastic. They had a sticker price on it of $20, which I thought was great, and we think it's worth about $50 or $60 in this shape. So I think, yeah, I think it's absolutely worth getting. I think it's a great looking comic book. Happy to pick it up. Man, this next one, I was actually a little disappointed because I thought this would be worth a lot of money, and several of the people who walked up behind me were specifically looking for this book, which I held in my hand at the time, so I kind of felt bad for them, but not really, because I wanted it. And it's this. This is Jumbo Comics number 113. It's from 1949, published by Fiction House Magazines, and this is a cool Joe Doolin cover depicting Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. She's sort of a jungle girl. You see her here with the jungle animals, and there's also some like shrunken heads down there. Now, I thought this is like a classic good girl art cover. I thought it was really neat, but I found out from Alan that, yeah, unless it says jungle in the name, they're not as sought after. People like the Jungle comics, not the Jumbo comics. And even looking up prices of this book and other similar books in this series, I was surprised to find out that this is probably worth about $75 in the condition it's in. Some of the better ones like $100. So still, I think it's a great looking comic book. The colors on it are fantastic. A lot of the ones I looked up online had like faded to a yellow. I think it's a great looking comic book anyways. This one was listed at $40, which is one of the highest ones that was there. And I think it's just because of how good the condition is. So this is the one I paid closest to what its actual retail is. So still, very cool look comic book. Absolutely love this. All right, these next ones I'm going to show you are very interesting because, yes, they're Good Girl, but they also are being published by Timely Comics, later Atlas Comics, later Marvel Comics. It's the same publisher, and I think all of these were edited by Stan Lee in the 40s. So let's start with this. This is Tessie the Typist, number 6. And what a lot of these are, this is one of the ones that follow, they were sort of like romance, comedy, comic books with multiple stories in them, similar to like Archie, but with like better art, usually following female protagonists with very mundane jobs that were right there in the title of the comic book. So this is Tessie the Typist, so we know she is. And yeah, it's a really great looking book. This is actually from 1946. I think one of the oldest ones I actually got. Fantastic. This is a series that was published with Tessie from 1944 to 1949. Great, you see her fashion right there. But yeah, I thought this was really cool. I think it's a great looking cover, and it's in fantastic shape. Maybe a little bit of wear on that staple right there, but we looked it up, and this one's probably worth about $130 to $150. I think most of these kind of fall into that slot. So great looking book from 1946. Very cool. Staying on the Tessie the Typist train. Oh, did I mention this is $20? This one was $20, which I think obviously is a great deal if it's worth, $150. Next up, we have another Tessie the Typist, also $20. This one's number 18. It's from a few years later in 1948. I'm not sure on who did the cover of this, but it's a great cover. Again, excellent shape. Given its age, the colors are fantastic. A couple of very small color breaks, but otherwise it looks great with a really bad joke on it. Sorry so late. It's raining cats and dogs, literally. It's the 40s, guys. Yeah, again, really cool looking comic book, $20. I think it's totally worth it. I think this is probably in its condition, probably worth about $175. At least that's what Alan sort of thought as well. So very cool right there. This next one, again, still looking at Timely Comics, still in the same wheelhouse of these female protagonists. This one's Nellie the Nurse. You see, once again, her occupation is in the title. This one isn't worth as much. Maybe it's because, the cover isn't as suggestive. I mean, it kind of is. But yeah, this series here, this one is particular issue 1947, I think, is when it came out. And yeah, we think it's worth about $70. It's not a very desirable comic book. Harvey Kurtzman cover. The one thing I thought was really interesting about this is that because it's multiple stories, who makes an appearance in this book in one of the stories? Tessie the Typist. So there's Tessie the Typist stories in Nellie the Nurse. Yeah, once again, $20. I think that's a great deal. Okay, this last Good Girl one, not only I think is the best one by far, but it also is, it's up in the running to be the most valuable book I got on this day. And it's this. So this is Hetty Divine, number 22. Remember that number. It's from 1947. And just like those other girls I showed you, Hetty Divine was a female protagonist in her own story. She had her own comic series called Hetty Divine. It later changed to Hetty of Hollywood when it got to the 50s, more like Hollywood, California themed. And you see she's a beautiful blonde bombshell. You see she's dressed to the nines, and she is literally stopping traffic, as all the men catcall her. Yeah, I mean, this is firmly, guys, in 1947, right? And yeah, it's in a pretty decent shape, which I'll talk about more in a second. But why do I think this comic book is worth more? It's because this is actually Hetty Divine's first appearance. Right, issue 22, it's her first appearance. And that's because even though they kept the numbering of this publication consistent, they changed the title of it. So as a matter of fact, the issue before this, number 21, was All Winners, number 21, like featuring Captain America and Namor and the Human Torch and the Wizard. That was the issue before this. And then issue 22 was Hetty Divine. And she was in, like, guys, 77 different Marvel publications. Also, what gives me a kick out of this, guys, because it's Timely Atlas Marvel. If you look at any of these girls, they're listed as being part of the Marvel 616 universe. Just got a kick out of that. So yeah, she was in like lots of publications for a long time, but this is actually her first appearance. And because of that, it's worth quite a bit. How much more? I don't know. We had a hard time finding this. As a matter of fact, there were only 4 of these on the census having been graded. The last one sold 5 years ago for as a 7.5 for like $1,500. So obviously this is nowhere near a 7.5. I think this is probably a 3 conservatively. There is a little bit of a pull at this staple, although it is still attached. There's a little bit of a tear down here on the bottom, and you can see the back cover has a little bit of chipping, but the front cover looks fantastic. The colors are great. The whole middle of it looks absolutely awesome. And so because of that, I think this book is worth a little bit. Looking at similar heady titles, again, ones after her first appearance, in this condition, like a 3.0, they're all in the neighborhood of like $250, pushing $300 in some cases, depending on condition. I think this is probably a $300 comic book. I don't know, if any of you know more about this comic book out there, I'd love to hear about it. Again, if you go to Key Collector, it shows some really weird numbers. There's not a lot of sales of this book. It's a pretty rare book. So I actually don't know what it's worth, but I think it's awesome. It's probably my favorite cover of all these books that I'm showing you right now. I think it's absolutely cool. And this one, I think was the most expensive one I got. It was listed at $50. So they clearly had some idea that it was worth something. So $50, I think is absolutely worth it. I think it's worth quite a bit more. So there you go, guys. First appearance of Hetty Divine. So I know there's a lot of good girl art lovers out there, but I think most of the people that watch my channel are superhero fans. So now we're getting to the Golden Age superhero books. Starting with this one. This is Captain Midnight number 55 from 1947, published by Fawcett Comics. Originally, Captain Midnight was a radio character. He had a radio show from the late 30s all through the 40s, and he was a fighter pilot like during World War II. He was in his World War II plane. He fought against the Axis powers. He was doing like covert missions, and it was a radio show that was extremely popular. But then he got his own comic book. It was actually published by Dell at first, and it was very similar. He was a World War II pilot type guy. And then Fawcett Comics took this, and they took a decidedly different direction with him. They were trying to capitalize on the whole superhero thing, and they changed him from a pilot suit into sort of a space suit. And at first he was like just a guy who could fly. He didn't need a plane. And then they put him in space, and he basically went from a superhero to a space hero. And that's what we see here. It's a far cry from where he started off on the radio show, but you see him here. I love these old science fiction covers, guys. I absolutely love them when they're from the 40s and 50s. I saw this, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. There's an alien. And then I started looking at it when I got home. I don't know what he's doing to that alien. It looks like he put the alien in an electric chair, and he's about to execute him. And if he isn't, he's certainly about to torture him, which is kind of messed up. But still, obviously, it's a really cool cover. This is in very good shape. It's extremely tight. The staples are good. There's a couple of creases, but they're not really color breaking. Yeah, fantastic shape. There's only a little bit of pencil right here. Awesome cover. Also, there was a TV show, I believe, that they did with this character. So this book here was listed at $35, and I think based on the condition and how cool it looks, we think it's probably in the $150 to $180 range. I actually thought it'd be worth more, but there were a lot of these published, and he's not a super huge popular character, although he did appear with other Fawcett Comics heroes like Captain Marvel, aka Shazam. So there you go, guys. Captain Midnight number 55. Pretty awesome book. All right, this is a really great one. I think this was the last book I grabbed. I almost didn't see it. It's this. This is More Fun Comics number 106 from 1945. Henry Boltinoff cover. And you guys see Superboy throwing flapjacks right there. You also see there's a Green Arrow appearance in the story. We have Dover and Clover. Why is this book significant? Because evidently, and Alan told me this is the third cover appearance of Superboy. His first cover appearance was in More Fun Comics 104, then 105 would be his second, 106 here is his third. It's also his sixth appearance in DC Comics overall. So pretty cool in that regard if you are a Superboy fan. The biggest problem with this is that there is a split on the spine going about halfway up the book. Top staple is attached. It does appear complete. Even in the condition, Alan thought this was at least $150, probably a $200 book based on other similar books that we saw. So I thought that was pretty good considering the sticker price on it was $20. So I think that's pretty awesome. And I had no idea when I picked it up that it was that early of a Superboy appearance. There was another Superboy comic book there that I let go. Someone else was interested in it, and I thought it was a little too beat up. So I felt like I needed something Superboy. I grabbed it. Happy that I did. 1945. Pretty crazy, guys. So now we're down to the final two DC books. You guys saw them in the footage. They're the two that I wanted the most, the ones I made a beeline to, and I'm pretty ecstatic about both of them. So let's start with this one. This is DC World's Finest Comics number 43 from 1949. And you see here that this is a large 76-page comic book with a cool cover of Superman, Batman, and Robin fishing in Wyoming, also featuring the Green Arrow in the inside. Fantastic cover, sort of a goofy cover. But guys, these old Golden Age DC books with the yellow background, more on that in a second, they have an aesthetic to them, right? They jump up from a mile away when you see these Superman books. And the fact this has Superman, Batman, and Robin on it, I absolutely had to have it. I also am a big fisherman, so I thought this book was cool. It's a square-bound book, and it definitely has some wear and tear on a couple of spots. However, guys, I've seen like more modern square-bound books in worse shape than this. The spine is actually remarkably good. This is actually in pretty good shape. However, I was shocked to find out that this book wasn't worth nearly as much as I was hoping it was. I saw recent sales of this book in about this condition, which I think is, once again, 2.5, 3.0, around $120. That surprised me a little bit considering how old it is and the fact it has, 3 major early DC characters on it. So I was surprised. The sticker price, once again, was $50 on this. So I think it's totally worth $50 for this. I think it looks awesome. Absolutely love it. Finally, it comes to the Superman book, guys. You saw it in the footage. There it is. Again, when I saw these pictures online, you could see the yellow cover from a mile away. It's iconic. It's what you think of when you think of Golden Age Superman. I've never owned a Golden Age Superman comic book before. So here we have Superman number 57. It's from 1949, Wayne Boring cover. Really interesting things going on with this. You see, we have Lois Lane dressed up in the Superman suit. And although this isn't listed as a key per se in a lot of the online sources, Alan assured me this is one of their first attempts at a female Superwoman, really, with her in the costume. So a precursor, I guess. But yeah, it's a really cool comic book. It does have its condition issues. Let's talk about the spine. Yeah, it is detached. Just the cover is detached at the top staple. It's fine on the bottom. There's a little bit of a split down here on the bottom that extends to the back of the back cover. It's a little dirty, a little beat up, and you see someone was practicing their cursive longhand, writing Superman over and over again on the cover, really lightly in pencil. But from far away, guys, it's a great presenting book. Certainly a prime candidate to swing this over to my buddy Jeff at Comic Spa, see what he can do with this. I don't know if he's ever worked on these early Supermans before, but he's worked on Golden Age books for me before, and he's fantastic. So pretty excited about this. Now, how much is this worth? Well, that's a tough one because I actually thought it'd be worth quite a bit more, and then it looks like it's in a little worse condition than I initially thought. But once again, I was surprised because it's not a major key of Superman, despite the fact how old it is, and it is early Superman. This, in its condition, retails for about $250 to $275. Is a pretty conservative place to put this book. But I don't care. I think it's an awesome comic book. A great addition to anyone's collection, I think. So yeah, I was a little surprised it wasn't worth more. But again, the condition is everything, guys. Obviously, it brings it down. And that spine is a little spooky. Hey, maybe a little trip to Comic Spot will change it. And I'll think a lot better about the condition of this book. But for now, I think this is just a little bit under a $300 book. So I have one more thing to show you guys. But before I do, I told you I would tell you what I paid for all these. This one was listed $40 because of the condition. So altogether, if you add all these up, it came to about $330, and they gave me a bulk price of $300. So I got about 10% off. Now, obviously, if this is, in fact, close to a $300 book, and who knows what that heady book is, clearly, I definitely got my money's worth. Now, I have one more book to show you guys, and it's probably the biggest mystery, but potentially the most profitable one in here. And it's this. So this is an Archie official club magazine from December of 1949. That's all I really know about it. I went into the inside. It's lots of Christmas type themed things. And on the back, there is an ad for the official Archie store. So I tried looking this up. Alan tried looking this up. My buddy Matt tried looking this up. And we could not find anything exactly like this. We found things very similar to it that are from the same age, same years, citing the same Archie fan club, the same Archie store, and those are worth a lot of money. Hundreds, even thousands, depending on condition. And in this particular case, look at the condition, guys. I mean, it is minty. There's a couple of small spine ticks, but it's beautiful. The back looks great. I'll put a picture of the back so you guys can see it. I mean, I can't believe the condition of this thing. So yeah, I don't actually know what this is worth, but it has the potential to be worth a lot. I can't tell you what this is worth, but I can absolutely tell you what I paid for it. $5. This is absolutely worth $5 for this gamble. And in this particular case, guys, where me and Alex and Alan and Matt couldn't figure it out, I'm appealing to all of you. If any of you know what this is worth, have seen similar sales or of this exact same publication, I would love to hear about it. Sound off down in the comments and let me know what you think the value of this is. I think it's pretty fantastic and obviously totally worth $5. So there you go, guys. I think that was a pretty successful estate sale for me. Totally worth getting up early for, or staying up late, depending on how you define it. But head on down to the comments, guys. Let me know what you think of estate sales. Let me know what you think of the footage. And of course, let me know what you think of my pickups. Which one do you like the best? Definitely let me know if you are a fan of good girl art. Like, I totally get it, why people are really into this. I just think these books are fantastic looking. Let me know if you are a fan as well. And of course, let me know what you think of the superhero books, guys. You know, for a lot of these, you know, they're not major keys or anything like that, but just the age of these and the fact that they're superheroes is not lost on me. The fact that I can hold up right now a Golden Age yellow cover Superman and say it's mine is pretty special. It doesn't matter if it's worth a ton of money or not. I think I got a great deal on it, and I love the fact I'm holding it in my hand. Just fantastic. And of course, if you have any insight into what this is, how much it's worth, or any of these comic books down here, I would love to hear from you as well. That's it, guys. In the meantime, I hope you keep hunting for comic books in strange and unusual places like estate sales. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going back to bed.